To create a new product in CBMS, first of all we go into Product Maintenance and click on the New button. We're now going to scan the new product in and type the description. The retail price is now entered here, and we can now select the department that the product needs to be added to. The physical size of the product is entered on the pack size, and this will actually go onto the shelf edge label. We purchase the product in a case of 10, and the case costs £10. The supplier is confirmed on this field, and here we can actually enter the supplier reference number, and this is a code that can be used for searching for the product later. We can re-click on the price, and by clicking on this drop-down box here, we can change the price depending on whether we want to check on the margin that would be currently made on this product. Should we use this price? The product we've just created is now on the product list, and if we double click on this product, it takes us into the main product card. As you can see, the description is very simple in this case, and the POS description is up to 16 characters. If this isn't enough, there's an additional descriptor field here where extra information can be added. The department link is grocery in this case, and in this case we've also selected a default shelf edge label design called Avery Label. The retail price in this case is £1.50, which means to say the product is achieving 20% margin. The information on a new product is also put in this line down here, which is the immediate changes line. This means the product is now ready to send either manually or at the end of the day after a Z reading to the QT series. It's very important to remember that before we send the product, we actually print out the shelf edge label. The labels button and shelf edge labels button here takes us into that area, and we can now click on the date and load the batch and then print the shelf edge labels appertaining to the products. In this case, the product is the water. By closing this screen, you can then clear this, and now we're ready to send the product down to the QT series. The product water is now ready to be sent to the till. We can now go into the send screen, and scanning PLUs are already flagged to send. As soon as we click the next button, there's always a reminder to say, have you printed your shelf edge labels? By saying yes, the send is now transmitted. Once this is done, we can now sell the product on the QT series. If we now assume that we have sold 5 waters, I can now do an end of day read, and this will collect the sales from the QT the same way as we've been sending. The end of day will now be processed, and shortly we'll be able to view some of the reports, including the sale of the bottle of water. In reports, there are many reports to choose from. The financial summary per branch will purely give an overall view of the sales of that branch. If we want to look at individual product sales, one of the reports we can look at is item sales per profit per stock area, and again here we can now see the water sales, and in this case a quantity of 5 have been sold and a profit being achieved of 20%. We're now going to look at the ordering of products, and in our case water. If we look at the current stock situation of water, we'll see that the current stock quantity is -5. This is obviously because we haven't purchased the product, but we have actually sold 5. In order to order the product, we go into the orders screen and click New. Orders can be created in one of 4 ways. An empty order is entering an order from scratch, either manually or through the Casio DTX7 handheld terminal. A minimum and maximum order is an order automatically created by CBMS based on a minimum and maximum stock holding. A pick list is a list of products that are regularly ordered each week, and all we're having to do is to just change the odd item in that list to make it easier to create the order. And a sales suggested order is an order based on the selling ability of the product over a number of days. In this case, we're going to create an empty order. There are different ways of searching for the product. One of the most common ways is through the supplier reference number that we used at the very beginning when we created the product. If we bring up the product and double click, it brings the product automatically into the order window. We can also search for items based on their scan code or their name. Once we've entered the order by clicking OK, this will allow the order now to be printed and either faxed or sent to the supplier. If the option is so used, this order can also automatically be emailed. Once the delivery arrives, we can then highlight the order and click on the Receive button and select the option to complete the order and enter the delivery. If we are using the Casio DTX7 handheld terminal, the delivery can be scanned in by this terminal. The order now is on the screen and we can now enter the amount that we have received. Assuming the order is correct, then the delivery quantity received will remain in green. And by clicking the OK button, the order is now in stock. We can prove this by hitting the stock level button, and now from a -5 position, the stock quantity is now +5. The stock take routine is the only way of getting a true picture of profitability in your business. So if we take the water and we carry out a stock take, by clicking the stock take button, we now have the option to freeze the stock. This simple procedure basically takes a snapshot of the stock as it is at this time. We can then go to reports and double click on a stock taking report, because now we can print out stock taking sheets and give these to the counters so they can go and count the stock. In this case, we're interested in the product called water. Once the count comes back, we can then enter the count into the computer. The current stock holding of water is 5, but let's say, for example, now we enter just 4. It means 1 bottle has been lost. We can complete the stock take at this stage and we can have another look at our reports. Stock usage with GP would basically give us a theoretical picture of our stock, telling us what our profit would be if everything was right. In the case of water, which is this third item down here, we can see that we actually purchased 10 items. We counted 4 items. So we should have used 6. We should have sold 6, which means to say that if that was the case, we would be achieving 20%. If we now look at the next report and look at stock variance, this report will now tell us whether we have actually got the correct number in stock or whether we're actually showing a shortage or surplus. Again, water will show here that we delivered 10, we counted 4, we've only sold 5, which means to say we've lost 1 at £1. This loss of 1 item at £1 of cost must surely affect our profitability. So the final report, stock item profit, will actually identify the effect this will have on our GP, or gross profit. And again, if we look at our water product again, we'll see that because we've lost 1, instead of making 20%, we're now only making 4. If we accept this as a result, then the last thing we have to do to complete our stock take is to do a closing stock update. This update will actually make an adjustment of 1 to our adjustments column. So now we can prove this by looking at our product maintenance screen, looking at our water, and looking at our stock positions, where we say we've bought 10, we've sold 5, and we've actually at this moment in time lost or mislaid 1, giving a current stock holding of 4. Stock takes can also be entered using the Casio DTX7 handheld product.